Welcome to The Funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm the president of Alignment Group. This is episode number 186 of The Funnel, the Sales Onboarding Playbook. Before we get started, I want to remind you to go to alignment-group.com/thefunnel and subscribe, and we'll send you the show notes. We're going to do it weekly now. I think because we publish twice a week, we didn't feel like inundating your inbox with 2 emails. So once a week, we'll publish out the links to the episodes and the show notes. All right, let's get started. I wanted to do a podcast on the Sales Onboarding Playbook because I felt like that is the natural extension of what we're doing here, and I feel like it deserved its own separate podcast based on the complexity of it and the depth of it. So today I'm going to talk about, and you're going to learn a little bit about, what is a sales onboarding playbook. I'm going to try to define that for you a little bit. Talk about the layout, what that looks like, and then what we think you should include in a sales onboarding playbook. So let's start by defining what it is, a sales onboarding playbook. And I always kind of laugh at this because I have to make this point in the beginning. It is not a substitute for training. So you don't just hand them the book and move on with your life and say, hey, they can sell now. The Sales Onboarding Playbook is a tool. It is a tool for 2 people. It is a tool for the sales rep, and it is a tool for the sales manager. And I often recommend that the manager have a manager version of the Sales Onboarding Playbook. But this tool is designed for one thing and one thing only: to fully bake a sales rep within the 90-day time frame. And I like saying fully bake, right? But they're ready to go, up and running, producing within 90 days. So we're not dragging out that onboarding process. This tool will help them in the field. It'll help them in a lot of ways, from sort of how to fill out paperwork to strategy. It's a reference for them to go back and reference as they move forward, right? It follows along with the 90-day process. So you build out the schedule, you build out the process, and they use the guide over that 90-day time frame. It is a comprehensive tool designed to cover every aspect of their world within your company, from internal operations and expectations to external, what they're doing in the field, from messaging to selling. This is their guide to success. What we want them to say after the time frame, a year from now, when a new rep comes in and asks about it, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. It helped me be successful in a short amount of time. Do you know how much time I saved just by not having to call people and ask questions? Do you know how quickly I was up and running? Because this, in addition to the onboarding program, helped me be successful. That's what we're looking for with the Sales Onboarding Playbook. Okay, so let's talk about the layout. Yeah, part of it is, look and feel, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But I want to take a deeper dive into the layout. First, I want to ask the question, who, right? Who is responsible for the Sales Onboarding Playbook? Like the sales onboarding process, there's a lead. It could be the same person, right? Most cases, it's driven by sales, so you have somebody in that role, a manager or VP. And their role in this is to bring all the components together. First, decide what needs to be in the playbook. That could be some brainstorming with other parts of the company, executives, other departments. Design how it's going to be deployed. So I'm going to say this. Whenever I think of playbook, right, I'm thinking of a 3-ring binder that they're carrying around. That's because I'm older. There is something to be said for having a pen and paper and a binder. You'll learn better, your comprehension's higher if you're writing down and taking notes. Having said that, I understand the world we live in, the electronic world we live in. NFL players get their playbook on an iPad now, a locked down iPad. They can see video, they can see the plays. They don't have a binder, at least for most. Maybe some of the old school folks don't do that. Right? But understand that's from a design perspective, it can be in a binder, it can be electronic, it can be kind of a combination of both. Have a library with a repository that they can access when they're not in the office or sitting down and they don't want to open up the binder, but they have the binder they can take from meeting to meeting. They can take notes, et cetera, et cetera. So they have kind of two versions of that. And then finally, for the layout, you have two components, two critical components to the sales onboarding playbook. There's the strategic and the tactical. Let me talk about that for a second. Way back in the day, we had something that wasn't designed by me. It was years ago when I was managing for a company, even before I was a VP. It was kind of like a playbook that the reps, every employee in the company got it, right? It was supposed to be their sort of development program, onboarding program. And it was very strategic. So there wasn't a whole lot of nuts and bolts in there. And sales reps sort of got the concept, but they didn't know how to apply it to the field. And yes, theoretically, the manager's supposed to show them that. But wouldn't it be nice to have that in writing? So what I did is I went back and I rewrote it. This is what kind of was the genesis of the playbook. Was, okay, here's the strategic 10,000-foot overview, and this is how you apply that strategy. So a good explanation of that is the strategic could be messaging and marketing, and this is our vision, and this is how we view the prospect, et cetera, et cetera. And here's who you should be talking to. Okay, that's strategy. That's good. That's great. But here's a whole bunch of content. This is the content you use in this strategy at this time, and this is the way in which you deploy it. Strategy and tactical married together. So you have to have the tactical because sales reps are going to want to know, how do I do this? Now, I gave you sort of a big example from a marketing perspective, but something as simple as processing paperwork. That's tactical. How do I fill out the form? It's great to have that somewhere where you can quickly access it. Again, why? Well, for a number of reasons. One, so you're not calling people and asking silly questions over and over again until you get it. You know, there's some people that get it the first time, there's some people that get it the 5th, and there's some people that get it the 15th. As long as they're producing, I don't care how many times, but I do care how much time they're wasting calling people with that when they can reference a sales onboarding playbook. Okay, so let's jump to what's included. Now, I will say that when you're talking about what's included in a sales onboarding playbook, you need to be, I always try to be clear with this, that some of this can be very proprietary to the company. It's about what you want to put in the playbook. I will tell you that when I talk to folks about the playbook and they say, oh yeah, we have one, I get everything from a 3-page document stapled together to a huge 3-ring binder with just a tremendous amount of product information, neither of which is a playbook. Okay? So I try to get them to define what they have now, and then we begin to flesh out what that looks like. Again, you go back to the previous podcast when I talk about building an onboarding program. You get the team of experts from the different departments. You brainstorm about what's ideal for a sales rep, what they need to know in that first 90 days, what they need to know to be successful with your company, and then you build it from there in the proper order, right? You don't explain to them you don't teach them how to write an order the first day. Probably not selling something the first day. You want to bring that along to when you think they might get their first order, maybe towards the end of that 90-day period. So it's fresh in their mind, and you back that up with a playbook. So the playbook works hand in hand with the training, the onboarding development, the meetings, right? So if they're going to a meeting with, let's say, a marketing person, and they're going to go through the marketing side of the house, that playbook, that guide, that tool should have that information in there and a place for them to take notes. So they're sitting there with their playbook, they're taking notes, and they're being delivered that information in a much deeper way from the marketing department. So that means you got to get a lot of people involved in that, right? Make sure that it's right. Don't try to take this on yourself. And if it takes 3 months to build out your onboarding program and your playbook, that's fine. It's well worth it. Just think about how much revenue you're going to gain from that and how much productivity you're going to gain. One of the hardest things I have is convincing sales managers and business owners that this is a good exercise in revenue generation, because they think revenue generation is making the calls, getting in front of customers, and it's absolutely true. But there are things you can do to facilitate that, and that's what we're doing here. So let's talk about what's included, okay? Obviously, the company information, right? Pretty basic. But how deep do you want to go in the company information? I say the deeper, the better. Some people like to put a little bit of history in there. So you know the history of the company. Been around a long time, et cetera, et cetera. This is the owner that's founded there. That's fine, okay? I think that's important. I also think you need the strategy. What am I driving for as a sales rep? What's the revenue target here? And why am I driving towards that target? Because here's the vision. This is what we want to do for the company. This is how we want to grow. And this is the role you play in that, in the playbook. When I say beyond the org chart, I mean there should be an org chart, right? So everybody kind of knows who reports to whom, and you get the idea of the organization. But I think you dig a little deeper in that. You put a little more information. How does this person relate to you? How much are you going to be involved with that department or that person? Beyond the org chart. Just take it a little deeper. In addition to that, I want to know how the company operates, what time I should show up for meetings, et cetera, et cetera. What are the rules and regs? All of that stuff. Why? Why should they know that? Hey, well, for one, it's an HR thing. You got it in writing, right? The other is you're very clear up front. Our meeting started 8 a.m. Monday morning, our company-wide sales meeting, 8 a.m. Monday morning. We expect you to be sitting in the meeting room at 5 of 8. We want to start on time. Now they know, right? They know. Now the schedule for the 90 days, that's not in here. That's in your onboarding program. We build that out. We help you build it out. But this is the complement. This is the complement to that. For sales reps, I want to put something in there for goal setting and time management. Now, the org chart for the org chart includes all the sales reps and responsibilities and roles and managers and all that stuff. So that's all in there. But what you want is goal setting and time management. You want them to know how you expect them to set their goals and manage their day. And I'll say goal setting, well, they have experience. They know how to do that. You'd be surprised. When I go through a goal setting exercise or I put somebody through that, I usually get the outcome, but the middle is really lacking. What are you going to do to hit that goal, that target? That's the part that people struggle with. I'm going to sell 150% of quota. Okay. How are you going to get there? Make more calls. Okay. Sell more stuff. That's not a goal. That's a wish. A goal details what you're going to do every waking moment of the day to reach that number or that target and why it's meaningful and important to you. You want to put the product information. What are they selling, right? Even to some degree, who are they talking to? Sometimes there's manufacturer reps or product reps outside of your company or significant people that can help them in their understanding of the product. This is beyond the training, but all that information should be in there and available to them. It's important that they have that, which means what's going to have to happen over time. The same thing that's going to have to happen over time with the onboarding program, it will have to be updated. There will be iterations of it. That's why you need a team. That's why you need to know who's in charge. What are the responsibilities of each person? And you want all that documented because people leave companies. So the next person can slide right in. Pricing. Obviously. You want the pricing and product in there. Okay? Did I say? I think I said sales process and methodology. I might have skipped over that. Sales process and methodology. You want to know how you sell. You want to know the methodology. Okay? I'd say that's a little important. This is how we sell. This is the sales process we deploy. And in addition to that, you're providing training on the process and the methodology. So everybody's on the same page. So everybody's selling using the same methodology. Pricing and metrics, right? So the pricing, so they know what their product costs and how to sell it. Now, I'm a big fan of the limits, right? If you allow a sales rep to come back and keep asking for lower pricing or whatever, there's a lot of latitude, you create problems for yourself. So you need to be very clear on their role within the pricing and then the protocol beyond that. If for some reason you need to get better pricing, this is the rules. These are the rules of the game. This is what I need from you to provide you with that. Don't just come to me and ask me for lower pricing because you can. Here's what you need to prove to me to get that lower pricing. And if you don't have it, don't bother. Pretty clear. The metrics. How are they going to be judged on a weekly, daily, monthly, annual basis? Shouldn't they know what metrics you're judging them against? Most salespeople will say, well, as long as I hit the number, everybody leaves me alone. And I laugh at that. Like, that's great. That's not management. That's silliness. Because maybe they could sell more, make more money, do more things. I don't know. What I'm saying here is that metrics are important and management is important and being a manager is important. That means that philosophy goes out the window. That you truly manage somebody to the best of your ability and the best of their ability, because your job is to get them better at what they do. Okay, so now I'm preaching a little bit on the management side. But metrics, how are they measured? How are they paid? The commission schedule, the bonus schedule. Okay? I think I told you this before. I think I've said this before in podcasts. I had a rep tell me once, hey, if I hit bonus, it's like Christmas. It's a gift. I have no idea how we got there, but I got a bonus. Okay. So there's one of two things going on here. Either that rep is really stupid, or the company compensation plan is so complicated the reps can't understand it. So I know for a fact that he wasn't stupid. He's a good rep, good guy. It was complicated, too complicated. So commission schedule, bonus schedule, so they understand how they're getting paid. Part of the sales onboarding playbook. The CRM basics. This is our CRM. This is how we use it. Here's the rules. Here's the expectations. Okay? We need you to manage your day out of the CRM, and this is how we do it. Am I big on a lot of admin tasks for sales rep? I can hear the sighs. No, I'm not. But I also think it needs to go beyond just putting your pipeline stuff in on a wish and a prayer. You need to document your activities, because we all need to get better at what we do. And there are ways that your manager can coach and help you. And you're wasting their time if you don't do it in the CRM and they have to ask you stupid questions just to get a basic understanding because you didn't put it in the CRM. So put not only the CRM basics, but the rules, the expectations. Set that precedent early. From a marketing perspective, we're looking at messaging, right? Ideal prospect. What does that look like? Content, maybe. Okay? And there could be 10 more things in here. I've kind of limited it to this because I think it is unique to the company, and there are things that should be in there from different companies based on how they sell, what they sell, company culture, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you're a field organization with no real offices. Everybody works virtually. Well, that comes with a whole bunch of stuff that they have to do differently. But this will give you an idea of the nature of a playbook and why it's so comprehensive. So right now, people are saying, that's great, John, but this is overwhelming. That's way too much stuff. It's not. I did it. I did it before I even started doing what I'm doing now. I did it as a VP. I got tired of the mess. It was born out of pain. It can be done. And there's some proven methodologies to do that. There's some things that we put in place for clients, templates, guides, coaching. We walk them through it. But you can do this yourself. It can be done because I did it without that. Would I like people to hire? Sure. But I also know that it can be done. I can get you there faster. But don't ignore this part of your job. Don't ignore this part of hiring salespeople. You hire them. You go through the process. We went through that in podcasts. Now we're talking about onboarding. You knock this down and you get that whole thing right, you're going to see your numbers soar. You're going to hire the right people, and you're going to get them up and running faster. And they're going to respect you as a company. And they're going to think twice about leaving a company that took the time to hire the right people, train them properly, and support them in the field. And when they look around the room and they see other people like them, they love it. Salespeople do not like to sit in a room full of losers, full of people who are underperforming or complaining and bitching and moaning about the company. It's terrible. They like success, and success breeds success. Okay, so I'm off my soapbox. Thank you for listening. All right, so that's it for the sales onboarding playbook. Don't forget to subscribe to the funnel at alignment-group.com/the-funnel. You can find me on Facebook at Shay John R, on Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+. Contact me. Send me an email, jshay@alignment-group.com. Suggestions, comments, anything, questions, fire away. I'm here for you. Go to alignmentgroup.com, alignment-group.com, our website. Plenty of cool stuff there. You can find our companion piece, our blog. It's called Insights. We take these podcasts and we do sort of a companion piece to it. It's not always a 1-to-1 ratio. It's usually a couple of weeks later. And it might be a slightly different spin or a little bit deeper dive. But the idea is that there's plenty of knowledge that you can find on our website. So think about it. Stop on by. We'd love to have you come over. Again, thank you for subscribing and keep filling the funnel.